Boker Tov, everybody. Welcome to the weekly Kabbalah Café, Erev Shabbat Kodesh, Parashat Tazria, and tonight is going to be Rosh Chodesh, and tomorrow we're also going to read a third Torah in connection with Parashat Chodesh, in connection with the preparation for Pesach. So it's very exciting. Thank you very much, Raya and Mordechai, for hosting and broadcasting this year and many other shiurim as well. And a big yasher koach to Gershom and Rachel Dandy for sponsoring this edition of Kabbalah Café in honor of Refuah Shlema of Michal Ze'ev Ben Genendel. And I want to take this opportunity to wish a special Refuah Shlema to everybody who needs. We can all have in mind for the people that are so close to us. And Bezrat Hashem, everyone should be well and join us over here at Chabad of Rechavia. I want to mention something very special, that we have a great surprise, that the davening on the first day of Pesach is going to be at Heichal Shlomo. There's a little shul inside Heichal Shlomo right next to the big hall where we're going to be doing the Seder. So it's a very, very special treat. And details will be coming soon, Bezrat Hashem. Okay. In the 6 days of creation, the fifth day, on the fifth day, the birds and the fish were created. On Friday, the animals were created, and then, one second, please. And then human being was created. Adam and Chava, we were created last, just a couple of hours before Shabbat. Why is it so? Why is it that the human beings were created at the end? There are a number of explanations. One explanation is that everything should be the symbol is everything is ready for us. We are the crown. The human being is the crown of the creation, and Baruch Hashem, everything is ready. So that's a great reason why. At the end, wow, everything is ready for us like on a silver platter. Another reason which is brought why we were created at the end is in order that our creation should be close to Shabbat. And immediately when we are created, we should go right into Shabbat. That's a beautiful perspective. Another explanation which is brought in our sources, that our sages bring us, is in order that those that deny in Hashem's abilities, so they shouldn't say that Hashem needed the human being to help him create the world. So the human being was created at the end. The fourth is something that we're gonna put a focus on. The fourth reason is because a human being, might be boastful and to brag about how much power they have, how much ability they have, and so a human being will be told. Here's a quote, 2 words: Yitush kodmach. A mosquito, a small creature of Hashem, is even there before you. So don't brag so much, because even the smallest bug was created even before you. So this is a reason why the human being was created at the end. But I'm going to borrow from that concept to our parsha. Our parsha comes right after Parashat Shmini. Shmini is when we talked about the kosher animals and the non-kosher animals, the kosher birds and the non-kosher birds. And so it's brought down in our sages that just like the human being was created after the animals, so too we were also told about what we can do and we cannot do. We have to watch how we speak. We have to watch what comes into our mouths. We have to watch what comes out of our mouths. also after the Torah teaches us about the whole idea of the kosher animals and birds and fish and the non-kosher ones. And the non-kosher ones. So we only have an explanation of why we were created after the animals. But we need to have an explanation. Why is the Torah, the learning about the human being and the punishment if a person doesn't act properly, then they can have the affliction of the skin? Why is the learning about the human being also after the learning about the animal? And what we're going to learn is that we can learn something very, very special over here from comparison between a human being and an animal. So there was once a rich person, a wealthy person that came into the office of the local shaliach, and he was very, very depressed. And he asked the shliach, this is the shliach tells over, he asked the shliach to please help him and to listen to him. He said, what's the matter? How can I help? And he said that people are jealous of him. They think in their naive thoughts that just because he has a lot of money in his bank account and even he himself is not exactly sure how much he has over there, that they're very jealous of this individual of him. But he said, true that he has I have a lot of money, but he started to complain to the shliach that unfortunately his wife is not well, and one child left the house. Another child also has all kinds of issues. So it's almost as if in his own mind, is it worth it, all of the money that he has? And so the shliach told over that he tried to encourage this individual and lift up his spirits. So he told him, what are you talking about? Look how many zechuyot, look how many merits you have. He said, with your money, your finances, you were able to contribute so much to personal poor people and also build buildings and success. And this is what you have forever. This no one can ever take away from you. That is your true greatness. And slowly but surely, the person's face, the wealthy man's face, started to become more content. He started to calm down and to smile, and he realized that is the truth. He says, you're right, he told the shaliach. You're right. That's a true blessing in this world. It's not just about the money that you have in your accounts, but the choices that you make on how to build, how to contribute to the world. Now, when we talk about this idea that we mentioned earlier, that if a person feels that they're all successful and they're boasting a lot, so we tell them, Yitush kodmach, even a mosquito was created before you, so you have nothing to brag about. I think we need to elaborate a little bit on this point. The fact itself that the mosquito was created before a human being is not enough of a reason to make a person feel humble. Why? Because there's not enough of a reason to feel humble. Because a person can say, big deal, that's what happened. That's how Hashem created the world. What do I have to do with a mosquito? But if you think about it, the mosquito, both materially speaking and also spiritually speaking, represents an all-time low. Mosquito is one of the smallest creatures that there are. It's almost like a nothing. And what does it do? Don't forget, we don't say to the person, even a lion was created before you. We say a mosquito. It's one of the lightest creations that Hashem made. And as it says a couple of phrases in the Talmud, that a light creation, Hashem says, I have in my world, that it can go onto the dry land and try to make a war with it. It can totally take you over. Another place it says in the Medrash that even everyone in the world that will come along, no one can create even a small yitush. It's a symbol of even a small nothing, so to speak. By the way, according to the literally speaking, the mosquito apparently only takes in and it does not have any waste. So that represents, spiritually speaking, the epitome of ego and the klipot that says just give. He doesn't give to anyone else. Just give me. Takes it all in. It's only about himself. And when Titus was the king Titus, the Russia, he was all bragging. Hashem sent this little yitush into his nostril, and it totally ate up his brain, and he died because of it. In other words, in summary, this little creation is also physically almost nothing, and it also spiritually represents the epitome of klipa, the epitome of the opposite of kedusha. Kedusha is all about giving, and this yitush is all about taking in. Another interesting thing about this yitush is that it's amazing how Hashem blessed the mosquito with a talent of being able to sense, to smell. Knows exactly where the best place to suck out the blood from. And in this little creature, it's almost like it has a whole lab of Hashem created it in Hashem's miraculous wisdom. Ein Sof. It's able to separate the water from to take only the thickest blood. It also puts into the person different ways of being able to slowly pull out the blood. Let's not get into too many details, but it says over here that it can even draw into itself up to 6 milligrams of blood into such a little tiny creature. In other words, it's amazing. Marabu Ma'asacha Hashem. It's amazing how Hashem works, that such a small creature is able to be so quote unquote like complicated and to be so talented. And kulam b'chachma Hashem with his wisdom. In any case, we want to bring a person to realize, you see this yitush, you see this little mosquito, this little fly, this little bug. Even that is before you. Even that is higher than you. Why? Because it's explained in great length, also in the Tanya, and also in a beautiful book that's been put out. It's from the Rebbe Rashab, the 5th Chabad Rebbe. It's called Uma'ayin Mibeit Hashem. And over there he discusses the idea, he discusses the concept that all animals, birds, fish, including, obviously, the mosquito, a little fly, they don't have choice. They don't have bechira. Whatever they do is naturally decided by the Almighty Hashem. So if they do something, it's because Hashem clearly, obviously sent them to carry out this specific mission. But a human being, at every moment, he has a choice. And he can say, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something good or not going to do it, or God forbid the opposite, regarding something which is not good. So when we tell a person, Yitush Kadmach, even a little bug was created before you, that should be, it's not just in time, chronologically, that the bug was created before us. Rather, much deeper. The idea that even a little bug, which represents the epitome of klipot and tumah, impurity, is higher than us. If a person, especially a Jew, makes a bad decision, then who's better? The bug, the animal, or the person? Even if the animal did something wrong or tried to kill someone or whatever, they're doing what Hashem said. They don't have choice. They don't have bechira. But the human being has a choice. And because we have a choice, and if God forbid a person made the wrong choice, then that's why we are considered to be less than even a bug, even a small creature. And here's an interesting description of a human being. It says in the Medrash that when Hashem created the human being, He said, let's create I don't know if you want to call it bipolar, or you want to call it someone which has a two-faced individual. By the way, in the Talmud in Ketubot, the Talmud says that we're created literally back to back. There are different opinions of how man and woman was created. B'kitzur, let's move back to what we were saying earlier. What does it mean that Hashem said, let's create an individual who is double-faced? It means that every person has a choice to look at every individual in two ways. Either with a pure face, that, wow, I am the crown of creation. Hashem created me as like every other human being. We are the chosen ones of the creation. Or a person can be depressed at themselves and view themselves as being like an animal or even less than an animal. It's all about the perspective. It's the ability to make our own choice and decide how we are going to view ourselves. And it's not just a theoretical thing, but it can have a very strong impact on how we live our life. According to this, the Maharal of Prague brings down from the Shla Kadosh. Very interesting. It says, Na'aseh Adam b'tzalmeinu kidmutenu. We shall make the human being in our image, like our form. And so, what does it mean, Na'aseh? We know that Hashem is the only one who created human being. It didn't create together with anyone else. So what's the plural of Na'aseh? We shall make man. So the Shalah Kadosh explains, thank you. The Shalah Kadosh explains that when Hashem said Na'aseh Adam, He meant Hashem says I and the human being. Us two together create the human being. What does that mean? That Hashem says, I created you. Nachon, I created you. But you take part in your own creation. When you make a good choice to look at yourself as helpful, as contributing to the world, contributing to community, and beneficial, with me in building your own being. But if, God forbid, you make the wrong choice and you decide to be depressed and you decide that you're not worth anything and you decide that no one cares about you, and that doesn't do anything good, it just pulls a person, God forbid, lower and lower, then Hashem says, what are you doing? You're ruining my intention. My intention is that you and I together should continue to build your morale and your encouragement and uplifting. So that is the Na'aseh, beautiful interpretation, Na'aseh Adam. When a child is born, do we know if the child is going to be kind or stingy and an egotist? Do we know if he's going to be a Torah scholar or a businessman? Of course we don't know. But one thing we do know, that Hashem created the person and this baby in a way that he has the potential to make all of the right choices. And so here's a story that was told by Rabbi Jacobson that gives an interesting perspective on why Hashem created human beings. After all, we were created in heaven by the Kisei HaKavod, by the throne of honor of Hashem. And why did Hashem bring the neshama down into this materialistic, crazy world? What's the point? Why couldn't He just keep us, our neshamas, up there? Is there anything greater than being in the Gan Eden with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and all the great neshamot and the great tzaddikim? So the purpose is that through the fact that we're over here in this world, there will have a greater benefit, a greater aliyah through that and afterwards with Mashiach Tzidkenu. So here's the story that Rabbi Jacobson told. There was a Jewish young woman in California that she was a very deep thinker. And she had several questions, real heavy questions on the purpose of life, on the personal I, what is the right way that I should be going? And she traveled to the Far East to search for herself, to find herself, find direction. She tried to look for answers in Islam, in Buddhism, and she came to ashram. 4 years she lived there alone, and she served every kind of idol possible, unfortunately. But then she heard that her father is ill. She left everything and she went back to California to see her father. After she came back to her parents' home, deep conversations with her mother. And in one of the conversations, she said, by the way, when I was young, we celebrated at home Pesach. Our grandfather led the Leila Seder on Pesach night. We sang, we ate, and this has been engraved in my mind like a very positive and happy family experience. I'm sorry, her mother told her that when she was young, she had these experiences, and she sort of apologized that her daughter, had not had these positive experiences. So after a little while, she called one of her friends called the daughter and said, you're going to be that she's planning to be by a Seder, a Hasidic Seder in Brooklyn. Would you like to come with me? So she remembered what her mother had said, and that she has very positive memories of her father's home, her grandfather's home. And she said, you know what, I'll come. She's anyways here in America. And so she came to Machon Chana. That's where the girls' yeshiva in Crown Heights for Baal Tshuvas. And they always had a special Seder. And she came. From the beginning of the Seder, she felt a very uplifted spirit. She didn't know earlier how much depth and wealth there is in Yiddishkeit, in Judaism. The atmosphere, the Haggadah, the songs, the words of Torah, all of those returned her heart. It's almost as if it's that she found herself. So finally she found herself. At a certain point, the Rebbe walked into the hall. The Rebbe used to go around to certain key places, 3 or 4. This is one of them every year before he started his own Seder. After Ma'ariv and before he started his own Seder. And the Rebbe went to wish Good Yontif and to check that the girls in Machon Chana have everything that they need for the Seder. The Rebbe, as every year, went to the rooms and with a very fatherly concern, he made sure. The Rebbe said that the mirrors are a little too small, caring for every single detail. When this young woman saw the Rebbe and the shine that came through from his face, she decided to change her plans, and instead of going back after Yom Tov to the Far East, she decided she's going to Crown Heights for the entire Pesach. When Pesach finished, she decided to stay another few days, which then it became weeks, and that became Shavuot, and she's by the Rebbe. At a certain point, she decided she's never going back to the Far East, and she's staying over here in Crown Heights. Now she felt that she is becoming much closer to Yiddishkeit and to Chassidut and connecting to the Rebbe and his ways. So she decided that first she should tell the Rebbe all about her life. She sought advice from a couple of her friends, and she asked when would be a good time to meet the Rebbe and to tell him all about her life. Some of them said, what do you think? The Rebbe has time to go through all the different idols that you served? For a little while, that cooled off her desire to write to the Rebbe or to speak to the Rebbe. But at the end, she decided she's going to write everything down. She came to the Rebbe's secretary, and she gave over several papers which told all about her life and her experiences that she had gone through. Then she said to herself, it's interesting if the Rebbe is going to even read, let alone respond to my long letter and my trips to the Far East. And she was a little concerned to write about the Avodah Zarah, but she wanted to be open with the Rebbe and to explain everything. The next morning, the secretary called Machon Chana and asked that they should tell her to come to the Rebbe's office, to the Rebbe's secretary's office. She ran over to 770, and as soon as she came to the Rebbe's the secretary's office, before she could even take a breath, she said, is there an answer? And they gave her the answer that the Rebbe, she could not believe that the Rebbe actually responded to her letter. She wasn't even sure that the Rebbe would answer, maybe even read it. But the Rebbe's response came so quickly. The Rebbe wrote in the letter, it says in the Talmud, Yagata v'lo matzata al tamin. If you make an effort and you're not successful, you're not believed. If you did not make an effort and you were successful, also al tamin, don't believe. But if you made an effort and you were successful to find your way, then tamin, then you can be believed. It seems to be from your letter that you made a great yigiyah. You made a tremendous effort. You worked, you dedicated more than 4 years to search for the truth. If you put such an investment, such a strong investment into searching for the truth, there's no question, as our sages promise you, that you will reach the matzati that you have found the truth. What an amazing letter. The Rebbe takes 1 point from something that most people would even say, but the Rebbe looks at the power of the neshama. Searching for truth, you for sure will be successful. And even though it was the wrong way, the search, but nevertheless, it's all part of this long search after Hashem and truth. And that is really what it means, that Yerida Tzorach Aliyah, sometimes there's a descent, but through the descent, there will be a tremendous Aliyah, much more than ever before. She received a tremendous koach and energy from the Rebbe's approach. So we all have to learn from this, of how our approach should be when we serve Hashem, that we should make the right choices, even if we're going through a difficult time. Like we said in the beginning, the story of the guy, that how people viewed him, but all of a sudden we can give the person a different perspective, and this perspective is that you're part of the solution. You're part of the energy to be able to find the right points of positivity and build on them. We look forward to seeing everybody B'ezrat Hashem this evening for Mincha at 6:35. And tomorrow we're taking out 3 Torah. So please join us for Shachris, learning before Shachris at 9 o'clock and Shachris at 9:30. And B'ezrat Hashem, if you did not purchase your matzah yet, we still have some matzah left. And looking forward to seeing everybody for our big Seder and of course for Pesach. All the best. Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov.